Howdy, howdy, howdy. It's me, Treso. And look at the format. I'm here somewhere different, and you better believe I'm coming to you live from my basement. And we're going to do a little movie reviews this time. So, it's been a while since I've done a movie review, so I was like, hey, I'm going to treat you guys. What kind of format can I do live, streaming? Put it out there to the people, and, have some fun doing it. Something that's, not labor intensive, has me editing all over the place. So I thought, heck, I'll just bring it to you live right from the basement. And you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna go through some movies. You better believe it. Ones that I've watched in the past, I'm gonna say month, because I'm gonna bring it up right now. I've got 10. I've got 10 for you. I set it up here. I was just like, I'm gonna bring the heat. I'm gonna say, hey, here's the 10 movies that I've seen in the last month or so. I'm gonna go through them, and then afterwards we can have a little Q&A, whether I've missed, errors and omissions, or maybe you guys have movie recommendations that you want to see out of me in the future. So, I think without further ado, let's just take it away and let's go right on to movie number 10. And I must say that this is going from 10 being probably the worst out of the list, and number 1 being the best. So right over here is my list, and we'll slowly go through and we'll see what Tress watched. There's some new ones, some old ones, and a little everything in between. I'll tell you what I thought, almost kind of like a Siskel and Ebert-esque little review. I have some movie clips set up for everyone as well, so hopefully it's enjoyable, and let's take it away with movie number 10. What's movie number 10? Dave, 1993. I watched this movie. It's a Ivan Reitman movie, and it stars Kevin Kline and Sigourney Weaver. So Ivan Reitman, if you know him, of Ghostbusters fame, I mean, like, come on. You're like, okay, I'll check out Dave. I love Kevin Kline, from A Fish Called Wanda. I think Fierce Creatures was the sequel to that. And those are fairly good movies. I thought those are pretty darn good. And Sigourney Weaver, absolute legend. Like, come on, whether it's Aliens, I don't know, Holes, I don't know. I love everything that Sigourney Weaver's in. So I'm like, I am giving Dave a shot. And let me tell you, Dave is very, like, meh in my books. I mean, does it fall completely flat? No, but it definitely just peters along. It's very predictable. I mean, the movie is about a guy named Dave, played by Kevin Kline, who is just a average Joe. He's a everyday working man, but here's the thing: he looks exactly like the President of the United States. And when the President of the United States gets sick, they go, ooh, we're gonna grab this guy Dave, and he's gonna bamboozle the public because what is it, Frank Langella? He's like the White House chief of staff. He's like, I'm pretty much running this country. We'll just bring in this other bozo named Dave, and I'll continue to run the country, set myself up to be the new president. So Dave peters along. He thinks like, hey, I'm gonna be the glue. I'm gonna like do something, help out my country, be the new president. And I mean, the movie is just kind of like, meh. From a comedy perspective, it's average, very, very average. I mean, here we'll take a look at a clip. This one kind of was a little bit of a brain buster for me. I'll hit you with a clip. This clip right here is Dave is new, and he's having a little heart-to-heart with one of the Secret Service officers, played by none other than Ving Rhames.
So your job is to protect the president all the time. That's your whole job, right?
Yes.
You have a gun?
Yes.
Ever use it?
Not yet.
You know, I've always wondered about you guys. The way they say that you'd take a bullet for the president.
What about it?
Is that really true? I mean, would you let yourself be killed to save his life?
Certainly.
So that means now you'd get killed for me, too.
Now, all in all, pretty bland scene. Like, I can admit, I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, a little bit of an interaction. But that one made me think. And I'll tell you why. Because initially when Kevin Kline says, oh, do you have a gun? And he says, oh yeah. Have you ever had to use it? And he's like, not yet. Almost implying like, you better watch yourself. I might shoot you. But then like immediately after, Dave's like, you might have to take a bullet for the president. So it's like, I just like got this like weird little scenario in my mind where Ving Rhames is about to shoot the president. He's got to dive in front of his own bullet. Like, he's like, shit, yeah, like I want to shoot you, but I gotta protect you. Which is oddly goofy, but whatever. I mean, like, at the end of the day, I mean, I think anyone can kind of predict how this movie kind of turns out. And I mean, is it a watch? Kind of. For me, it was. So, I don't know. It's up to you. I mean, it's 10 on my list. It's not anything special. And that's it. That's all. Like one of these. That's the rating. Meh. All right. Let's move along to the next on my list. Let's go back here. And at number 9, we have Torn Curtain. 1966 film, directed by Alfred Hitchcock. This kind of what drew me in, the old Alfred Hitchcock classic. You know, I was going through the classics before, whether it's Psycho, The Birds, Rear Window. You're like, okay, I gotta check out some of these other Alfred Hitchcock hits. And you know what? I was like, hey, who's in this? We've got Paul Newman. I love Paul Newman. One of my favorite movies is Slapshot. And we've got Julie Andrews, so I'm thinking, how can this go wrong? It's essentially about I think it's a nuclear physicist. When this is kind of around the time of the Cold War, and Paul Newman plays a nuclear physicist that has a program that was shut down by the United States military, and his technology can supposedly render other nuclear arms, I think, like useless, like can kind of take them out of the equation. So I was like, okay, this is intriguing. And at the start of the movie, he's a defector. He's defecting to the communists. So he's going to the other side of Berlin, and he's effectively defecting to the communists. And Julie Andrews is just like his wife or his like fiance, and she's like, what the hell is going on? Like, I gotta follow him. And in turn, she kind of is a little bit of baggage that he has to deal with. So not everything in this movie as it seems. It is a Alfred Hitchcock movie, so there's a few twists and turns, but all in all, I mean, like, pretty bland. I'm gonna show you a clip right here. I thought it was pretty funny because it's like there's not a lot going on, yet the music is so suspenseful. So this is what you get pretty much the entire film, and it's like well made, but some of this is a little bit laughable. For instance, this scene right here with Paul Newman and Julie Andrews, and he receives a book, but you can tell that there's a little bit of spy game going on. He's getting a telecommunications from somebody, and he got this book that has a secret message. So watch this.
Oh, by the way, Professor, I promised to take Miss Sherman to lunch at Tivoli. You don't mind, do you?
Oh, but I do mind. You're robbing me the company of a beautiful girl. Oh, well, go ahead, enjoy yourself.
Just a moment, love. I want to leave this book with the concierge. Be right back.
So I thought that scene was pretty hilarious, only because we get Paul Newman looking in this book, and it's just like, whoa, the Greek letter pi, like, whoa, like, crazy, man, like, whoa. And it's like, you can just tell by the music, it's like, it ramps it up way more than it needs to be. It's like, okay, he fibs to Julie Andrews that he's going to leave the book with the concierge, and he's like going to go read in the bathroom. So that's kind of the premise of this movie. We don't know whether or not Paul Newman is a good guy or bad guy, and as we go along, the suspense kind of rises and we figure it out. But at the end of it all, I think this is kind of a, compared to other Hitchcock films, this one is subpar. I feel like when you have movies like Psycho or Rear Window, you're kind of watching this film and going, oh, I wish I was watching those. I mean, like, this one's not too bad for 1966. When you watch other movies from this period, you're kind of going, like, some of them are a snooze fest. Whereas this one was fairly entertaining, but yet again, like, kind of mediocre. I'd say, you know, kind of like, if you had nothing else to watch, I mean, Torn Curtain? Yeah, why not? All right, let's move along. Let's get back. I got back to the list. Let's move along to movie number 8 on my list. Let's take a look at the 8th one in the list of the 10 that I watched in the past month. So what we have here for number 8 is Inferno. So this is the first on the list of Dario Argento directed movies, and Dario Argento is an Italian horror director, meaning that these movies are a little bit odd. I think stylistically and in terms of like the look and feel of these pictures, I really, really enjoyed. But in terms of acting and plot, there's kind of something to be desired. I mean, the second film that I'll be reviewing later on, it had a better plot, but I think both of the movies kind of fall short by the level of subpar acting. But it makes sense because it's kind of an Italian-made film, if that makes sense. How do I describe it? He essentially hires actors from various countries. So he'll have actors from Italy, actors from France, actors from the United States. But here's the thing. When he directs them, all of them will read their lines in their own language. So it's not an American actor speaking Italian or anything. He's just reading his lines. But here's the thing. He has no frickin' idea what the Italian actors are saying or the French actors. So it's like, how do you even read emotion or whatnot? And then after the fact, they just dub everything. The scene I'll show in this movie... Oh, I should probably set up what this movie's about. So this movie itself is kind of like the plot. I don't even know how to describe it. Like I said, an Italian horror film. It kind of follows a woman who finds a book called The Three Mothers in this old antique shop. And there's kind of a mystery involved with these three mothers. One located in New York, where she lives. And then another that lives in Rome, and another, I think, that lives in Frankfurt. So you're like, ooh, these three mothers, they're kind of like a mystical being. It's kind of like, oh, is this going to be a little mystery adventure film? But not really. I mean, like, her brother is located in Rome. She's located in New York. But as it happens, the brother just ends up coming to New York to, see his sister. So, I mean, we don't even see any of those, the two of the mothers that were in Rome or Frankfurt. I mean, like, there's so much story that's kind of just pushed aside. I will say, in terms of a horror film, it's fine. I mean, like, for 1980s, I mean, you get what you get. I'll throw in probably one of the funniest scenes here. I kind of clipped it together quite nice. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. I'll set it up. This woman is kind of what's she trying to do here? she's looking through her apartment building, and she's kind of like in a maintenance area or like a storage area, and she's looking for someone. But this is not the point here. You'll see why I added this scene. It is quite hilarious. So there you have it. That's one of the death scenes where a woman gets attacked by cats, and it's kind of sad. I know, I'll admit, but it's like they're obviously throwing cats at this lady. It's kind of hilarious, but it's kind of sad from like the cat's perspective. But it's like they're throwing cats at this poor woman, and I slowed it down at the end. There's like a guy's hand, obviously in the frame, throwing cats at this lady. So I'm like, okay, if you enjoy stupid Italian horror films, I mean, this one's on the list. And you guys are probably asking, hey, why is Inferno above Torn Curtain? Why is it above Dave? Because Torn Curtain and Dave play it so damn safe. It's so stupid how safe they play those movies. At least this one, you know, they're shooting for something. They're trying. They're shooting for the stars. Whether they miss, they're giving it their all. So Dario Argento, God bless you. I kind of love when, you know, filmmakers take at least a artistic leap to show us something different rather than something that's, you know, derivative or something we've seen before, as in Torn Curtain or Dave. But I will say, Inferno, again, probably not everyone's cup of tea. It is a horror movie, but from the 1980s, so I mean, it's not going to be like too crazy and scary out of the water, but at the same time, it's not like, ooh, like this is scary. Sometimes it's laughable. People throwing cats, so that's number 8 on my list. Let's go on to number 7 in my list of movies that I watched this past month. Ooh, A Mighty Wind. The Christopher Guest directed film. I really like this one. It essentially follows a music producer who passes away, and then his son decides to put on a tribute concert with all of the folk music bands that he used to, who he signed to the record label or what have you. So this was all of his favorite bands when he was a working man in the business. So his son thought it'd be a touching tribute to bring them all back and have them doing a reunion concert. But this is a comedy from 2003. I mean, it's not like a, you know, a dick or fart joke comedy. It's more. I'd say it's a little bit smarter than that. It's told in the mockumentary style, similar to like Borat. But I will also say that it's also told in the documentary style of This Is Spinal Tap, in which Christopher Guest, the director, plays an actor in that one. And it's also very similar to another Christopher Guest directed film, Best in Show. Both of these are mockumentary type films. So, I mean, in terms of being derivative, this movie is that. I mean, it is quite derivative when you think about it. I mean, like when you have This Is Spinal Tap, Best in Show, this one just seems like it's kind of an afterthought. So, but all in all, I think it's pretty funny. I think in terms of the 3 groups that we have, we can see the guys on this side here, the guys in the red. I think they're the folksmen. In the middle, the new Main Street singers, and then finally, what is it? Mitch and Mickey, which it's like they're all little folk groups, and they're all super quirky. They all have their little quirks, so it's interesting to see when they get interviewed. They're not just a simple smiley folk band. Each one of them has bizarre quotes, as we'll see in this clip here from A Mighty Wind. Where are we at?
This is not an occult science. This is not one of those crazy systems of divination and astrology. That stuff's hooey, and you got to have a screw loose to go in for that sort of thing. Our beliefs are fairly commonplace and simple to understand. Humankind is simply materialized color operating on the 49th vibration. You would make that conclusion walking down the street or going to the store.
So there you go. So two of the members there of the new Main Street Singers, they're obviously in a cult. So I mean, each and every one of them has their quirky little funny differences, and you know, all in all, this is a movie with not a lot of conflict. It makes you smile. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're having a rough day, you can throw this sucker on and you know, you're not going to have a bad time. You're going to have a few chuckles for sure. So, all in all, yes, this might be one of the more derivative films in terms of Christopher Guest's filmography, but it gets a big thumbs up from me. Yeah, few good laughs in there. Few belly laughs. Like a couple times, I was laughing pretty good. So, I mean, like in terms of this list, I'm giving this one a solid thumbs up. Most original concept ever. No, but I mean, all in all, pretty great film. If you haven't seen it before, I would definitely check it out. All right, movie number 6. Let's go on. Let's keep it moving and grooving, baby. Stillwater. So this is one of the newer releases that I watched. This one is the retelling of the Amanda Knox story. It seems like I did a little research on it. Essentially, it is a girl who went overseas to France for schooling and was ended up charged with murder of her friend, and she spent quite a few years in prison in France and needed the aid of her family to essentially get her free. So she was sentenced to I don't know how many years, quite a few. I think in this film here, it's 8 or so years, and I think she's like year 4, like halfway through her sentence. But yeah, her father in this film, played by Matt Damon, is constantly flying overseas to France in order to try to figure out you know, who committed the murder, because he believes that his daughter is innocent. So I actually really enjoyed this movie, and I think it is in part due to the relationship between Matt Damon and one of the locals he meets. I mean, one of the main characters. Her name is Virginia, or Virgin, and she's a French local, and she feels for his story, and he's kind of a little bit of a sob story to her, so she decides to help him out with translating and trying to, you know, help him get to the bottom of his the mystery of what happened in this scenario, and whether or not she can help him free his daughter from prison. This movie is quite delightful. Originally, it kind of did seem like a little bit more of, you know, tracking down the clues and figuring out who the original murderer is. But I think it kind of takes a nice detour halfway through, because, you know, things stall out and things happen to kind of, you know, direct his path elsewhere. But he kind of develops a nice relationship with Virgin and her daughter. And it's nice. It's almost like he develops a little bit of a new family as the film goes on. But it is kind of the ways between, you know, doing all he can to help get his original daughter out of prison, played by Abigail Breslin, and kind of this new relationship that he's fostered with Virgin and her daughter, and which one becomes more important in the end. I really like this one scene here. I'll give you one scene of Virgin and Matt Damon's character Bill Baker bickering in the streets here. Uh-oh, Tress. What happened? Where's the clip? Well, as you probably guessed, I uploaded this bad boy to YouTube and it was immediately flagged, demonetized, and blocked, which kind of surprised me. I kind of understood that some of the clips that I've been using in this video would probably lead to it being demonetized, but I didn't realize that it would be blocked from the internet altogether. So here I am. I'm editing the original live stream and editing out the clip from Stillwater. I mean, if you really want to know, it's him bickering with his good old friend Virginie. She's upset about a guy being racist, and Matt Damon's going, hooty har har, I'm American from Oklahoma. So that's the clip in a nutshell. I apologize that we can't see it, and I'll apologize again because further on in the live stream, there's another clip we can't see. Spoiler alert, so you'll be seeing me very shortly. So I will say, like, I really like the interaction between these two actors, and really that's, you know, the sweet spot of this film. And, you know, why I did rank it in the middle, but I really thoroughly enjoyed it. I will say my little caveat here is that Matt Damon, you know, in my mind, I can kind of, you know, understand. I'm like, okay, I can kind of absorb myself into the picture. I'm not focused on Tom Cruise being, you know, Ethan Hunt in the, you know, Mission Impossibles, or Harrison Ford being Indiana Jones. But in this one, it just seemed like I'm like, at every turn, I'm like, oh yeah, that's Matt Damon doing the southern accent from Oklahoma. Like, I'm Matt Damon from Oklahoma. So you're like, sometimes I got taken out of it a little bit, and I was chuckling a little bit, maybe a little too much for a movie of this serious subject matter, but all in all, like, I will say, very well made movie. If you get a chance to watch this one, pretty good. I mean, and at the end, I mean, like, it's a little ambiguous. Well, it isn't ambiguous, but it's a little up in the air as to the innocence of his daughter. So that plays out in an interesting way, and I think it isn't something that doesn't have that super smiley, happy ending at the end where everyone walks away into the sunset. So you really gotta love that. So I love when it kind of subverts your expectations and takes you down a different road. So Stillwater definitely gets another thumbs up. So you guys are probably wondering, like, oh, Stillwater, you said it was very good and you rated it number 6? Yeah, because I try not to watch bad movies. Like, I'm not watching Hotel Transylvania 3 here. Like, I'm not watching the entire discography of Adam Sandler. Yeah, we might get to that point down the road, but right now I was like, nope, I'm going to set up this nice little neat format, and we're just going to go through the last 10 that I've seen. Fortunately for you, all of these are fairly well recommended. So, yeah, well, let's take her away. Let's go right along to movie number 5. Oh, Tenebra. Okay, this is number 2 in the list of the Italian horror movies that I was watching. So people were like, Tress, enough with the Italian horror movies. But, I mean, I kind of got on a little bit of a kick. I know. But these movies are pretty darn good. I mean, like, well, the ones that I watched anyway. Dario Argento, I kind of really do love the style of these Italian movies. I mean, whether or not the acting's quite there, or does the plot really hold up, and is it really that fine-tuned? No. But all in all, I really do love the style, and I feel like I'll show you one of the stylistic points before I get into what the movie is. So there you have it. Now you kind of like, maybe I'm a little out to lunch here, but I really do like that it's like, hell, we're gonna have some awesome 80s synth music, and we're gonna like have this intricate kind of like crane camera over top of this building and all throughout the rooms. Even prior to that, they're showing the windows where kind of these women are in, and it's a long like 5-6 minute sequence of it, just like the camera panning around the house, seeing all the rooms, all the way to, you know, the killer breaking in. So I'm like, okay, I can kind of dig that. I mean, you don't get that in today's horror movies, you know. It's like pretty neat. I like the music, and I kind of like all of these weird, interesting, intricate shots. All in all, the plot is, not too crazy. I mean, there's a book author that arrives in Rome, Italy, to promote his new book, Tenebra, and it so happens that people throughout Rome are dying in ways that are in the exact same manner of this gentleman's book. So they're going, ooh, there's a copycat killer, and he's going through the book and killing people in the exact same ways. So the police, as well as the author, are trying to get to the bottom of who the killer is. And it's kind of a whodunit. This one is definitely a whodunit. You kind of figure that it's one of the people within the one of our characters. It's not somebody just random. So you're kind of thinking, oh, is it this guy? Is it this guy? No, that guy got killed off. So it's kind of a nice little intricate movie where you can kind of pick who's the bad guy in this one. And Dario Argento, just to be weird and unique, he definitely tries to put maybe one too many twists in there. One too many twists for his own good. So let's just put it at that. God bless him. I really enjoyed this movie. Style-wise, you gotta go hats off to him. Thumbs up. But yeah, as we can see, like I'm gonna say right now, number 5. I mean, like, there's some shortcomings. I'm not gonna say that this movie's the best, but it was definitely pretty good, and I enjoyed it, and it was a watch all the way through. Whether or not it's everyone's cup of tea, an Italian horror film, yeah, I'm gonna definitely give the audience a little bit of a handshake on that one. But hopefully with number 4 we can all agree this one can definitely be on the list. Check it out right now. Another new one. Yep, I watched the new Suicide Squad movie. If you haven't seen it, I would highly recommend it. Only because that original film is, the David Ayers film is like, okay, it was super meh, and I can understand that anyone going into this film would probably have some preconceived notions about this one, but new director, come on. And it's James Gunn, who directed all of the Guardians of the Galaxy films, 1 and 2. And then he also directed some pretty good movies like Super, which is another kind of realistic superhero movie set in the real world, along with Slither, which is, oh man, that's a fantastic horror movie. I might have to revisit that one just specifically, maybe for another movie review session. But yeah, Suicide Squad, great film. I mean, right from the get-go, I mean, he does a lot to really subvert your expectations, in the first 10 minutes. I mean, right off the get-go, we're introduced to Pete Davidson's superhero villain character, and I'm going, oh my god, I can't handle this. I can't handle Pete Davidson for an entire film. Like, I might have watched The King of Staten Island, that was fine, but I'm like, oh, in this film, he is so gosh darn annoying. But thankfully, James Gunn knew exactly what he was doing. He kind of turned it on its head, and yeah, after like maybe the first 10 minutes, you're like, at the 10-minute mark, you're like, oh, James Gunn knows what he's doing. He put a smile on my face. He's not going down the same path that the previous director went down. He's telling us that he says, nope, we're going on a completely different path. So I love it. Yet again, pretty simple story. You know, all of these super villains are wrangled together. They're all the ones that are sent to prison, and they're essentially put into action by the prison warden to complete missions that are incredibly dangerous and pretty gosh darn impossible. So there's a good chance that they will die. Hence Suicide Squad. But, you know, if they get back in one piece, you know, they can have a reduced sentence. So, I mean, so all these guys jump in because I think there's a definite clash of egos. It's like, no one can kill me. I'm the baddest ass in the group. So you kind of have those conflicting personalities throughout the film. Like, I'm untouchable. And that's not really the case. I won't spoil too much, but here is the first part of their mission where they're supposed to track down Colonel Rick Flag, and they're trying to break him out of this militia camp in which he's supposedly imprisoned. Uh-oh, it's me again. Yep, you can't have clips from Stillwater on YouTube, and you can't have clips from the Suicide Squad. So I guess I've learned my lesson for next time. For all you out there that are wondering, the clip shows the Suicide Squad tracking down old Rick Flag, who they think is captured and in an internment camp held by a whole bunch of militia. And they go through and they wipe out the whole militia base, but he's really actually just fine, having tea in a tent, and they're actually freedom fighters for the country. So the Suicide Squad accidentally wiped out a whole group of freedom fighters, and yeah, they're all like, ooh. And the shark guy kind of coughs up a finger, so that's kind of funny too. So at the end of the day, that's the clip. That's the last one I'm editing out. You will see me no longer. Enjoy the rest of the show. So yeah, I mean, I feel like this is probably along the lines of a dark comedy type movie mixed with a whole heck of a lot of action. You're gonna get your superhero action, but you're also gonna get some pretty gosh darn good comedy along the way. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, there was no crazy weird villain at the end that they all had to bat. Well, there was a villain they had to band together and be a team to complete. But I mean, it didn't seem like it was going down that typical superhero movie route. I feel like it was a little bit different, subverted our expectations a little bit, and for that, I'm gonna give James Gunn a big thumbs up. Always does great work with the Guardians of the Galaxy films and with this one. So, I mean, if you have a chance to watch Suicide Squad, pay your money to do so. I mean, like, that's what I always say. I mean, like, out of the movies that I make a point to go out and watch are ones where a director is putting out good work, he cares, and that's a guy like James Gunn. If you're gonna go to the cinema, I'm glad to spend my $20 and put it in his pocket. So, thumbs up again, and heck, maybe we move along to movie number 3 here. Movie number 3, what do we got here? Oh god, FX. Okay, this is like the guilty pleasure one in the list, I'm gonna tell right now. This movie stars Brian Brown and it stars Brian Dennehy as well. This is such a weird movie. It's essentially the FBI comes to Brian Brown, actor Brian Brown. Excuse me. And they ask him to essentially stage a murder for this witness protection victim. So he kind of agree. He doesn't want to do it, but he eventually agrees after they do some finagling. And essentially what happens is, after he puts on a show in front of this restaurant and makes it look like he kills this witness protection criminal, the cops start chasing him. They make it seem like, ooh, he actually did do the crime. So as soon as he kind of puts on this fake murder, all of the cops are ready to murder him in retaliation. It's kind of like, oh, he's on the run now and he doesn't know why. So it's actually a really good movie. And as we go along throughout this movie, I will say it's kind of has flashes of Home Alone. This was from 1986, I think it was, but quite good. Throughout the movie, he's using special effects, his different props throughout the film to get away from the cops or subdue a bad guy. So, I mean, pretty darn interesting. And I will say too that that's all Brian Brown's part, but on the flip side, we have Brian Dennehy, who absolutely steals the show as the good cop. He's the one trying to there's dirty cops, but he's the good cop going, what the hell's going on here? Why are people running after this guy and trying to kill him? You know, he's getting to the bottom of it as well. And he's fantastic. As an old man actor, Brian Dennehy is the king. I just watched FX2 yesterday, last night, and it is fantastic. I mean, there's nothing like a 65-year-old actor trying to, wheel and deal and put the moves on younger women. It is absolutely hilarious. So, I mean, he does that pretty much throughout. He's an absolute king. And anytime he's in a scene, I've got a giant smile on my face. Brian Dennehy, oh my God. So, I feel like in this movie, it's a little bit serious, but there's just too many jokey moments. I love this almost in a, maybe not so bad it's good, but it's like some of the things most people would be like, oh, this is shitty. Whereas I looked at some of the scenes in this movie, particularly this one, as this is absolutely hilarious. The scene sets up here, Brian Brown leaves his gun on the counter in front of the bad guy, but he he has an alternate plan. He has a special effects weapon to subdue the bad guy. And it's, oh man, when I first watched this, I almost peed my pants. A little bit of spoiler for the movie, so if you don't want to watch, I don't know, mute or cover your eyes for the next minute or so. But this scene was absolutely hilarious. It probably took this movie from 5 on my list up to the number 3. So here we go. Here's what I thought was one of the more hilarious scenes from FX.
I'll take that key, Ronnie.
There's something you should know, Mason.
Give me the key, Ronnie.
In this hand is the ammo for the gun. And this is crazy glue. 1,001 uses. Now 1,002.
No! No! Mason, drop the gun!
No, don't shoot! It's a mistake! Don't shoot!
God.
So there you have it. I mean, in what other movie do you see the good guy trick a bad guy and super glue his hands to a weapon, and then they were surrounded by the cops, and then he just shoved them out the door? And how do you how do you put your weapon down when it's super glued to your hands? That's the trick. Oh my God, I laughed so hard. It's so dumb, but it's so good. I mean, those little moments in movies is always what I look out for. So, I mean, FX, if you're looking for those dumb little moments, I mean, this movie was a treat to watch. So, yeah. So if I'm recommending it, I'm giving it a big thumbs up. But yeah, I know with everything, it's not everybody's cup of tea, but this one I definitely was smiling throughout. And I think it's 1986. I mean, I hadn't heard of it before this year, so it was kind of one of these little hidden gems that have been lost to time. So I'm really glad that I found it, and maybe I'm able to share it with some of you. So let's move along. Let's move all along to movie number 2. Oh, To Live and Die in LA. Oh my God, okay. So this movie is a William Friedkin directed movie. And this is another movie that, holy moly, subverts your expectations to the nth degree. So if you don't know William Friedkin, he directed movies. He directed The Exorcist. So I mean, acclaimed director, and I mean, this is kind of one of those movies that kind of falls by the wayside as well. One of the ones that, you know, people might not recognize at first glance when it comes to typical 80s movies, but I feel like the downfall with this movie is probably the leading man. Not that he doesn't do a good job, but because he's not the typical action star, our leading man is played by William Peterson. And if you don't know who William Peterson is, he's the main criminal investigator in CSI. He's the gray-haired, a little bit overweight guy. In this movie, he's definitely a little bit more fit, but yeah, in this, yeah, you're going, oh my god, it's the CSI guy. It's the CSI guy in a film, but great film. It essentially follows William Peterson as he's a special agent, and he's working on cracking a counterfeiting case. There's a big name counterfeiter played by Willem Dafoe, and he's trying to track him down and put him in prison. And yeah, right off the get-go, he has a partner that's like, oh, I'm getting too old for this shit. I'm ready to retire. Like, oh man, I can't wait till this is my last case. So yeah, you better believe that William Peterson's partner right off the get-go, what do you think happens to him? Yeah, exactly. I only got 2 days to retirement. It's like the classic trope, right? His partner dies, and then he's almost like on a vendetta mission, you know, a revenge mission to take down this counterfeiter, right? But William Friedkin does an amazing job of totally subverting our expectations. Like, that stuff is like by the book, but as we go along, William Peterson's character is not the nice cop that he should be. You know what I mean? Like, he's not playing by the book. In most movies and TV shows, our police characters are essentially flawless. They can do no wrong. They beat the bad guy. They're superhuman, right? And they can do no wrong. Whereas this one, it's like, holy crap. William Peterson's character is so incredibly flawed, and as we go throughout the movie, he will do literally anything to track down Willem Dafoe to an insane degree that it's almost laughable how far he will go to try to track down this counterfeiter and have his revenge. It's absolutely insane. So I feel like the scene that I'm going to set up right here has William Peterson talking with his informant, who he also has sex with. So viewer discretion is advised here. This is a little risque. You see a lot of leg action, but William Peterson gives a real good line here right off the get-go. So hopefully you enjoy.
How much do I get for the information I gave you on Waxman?
No arrest, no money.
It's my fault he's dead. Took me 6 months to get next to him. I've got expenses, you know.
Guess what? Uncle Sam don't give a shit about your expenses. You want bread? Fuck a baker.
Someday some guy set up for you's gonna snuff me. It isn't too hard to figure out who an informant is. You gonna stay a while?
No. I gotta go.
I got something for you.
I'm here.
A dealer from San Francisco's coming into LA next week with 50 grand to buy stolen diamonds. The stuff that was lifted from the Bel Air Hotel. He's a Chinaman and he's connected to people in Hong Kong.
I told you, I'm only interested in Play-Doh.
So I really like that he was kind of like, I don't really even give a shit what she had to say. He was like, whatever. Like, he came there to pretty much have sex with his informant. Like, he's kind of a scummy cop. But that line kind of made me chuckle out loud, where it's like, you want bread? Go fuck a baker. So I was like, okay, that's pretty good. I gotta include that one in there. That gave me a hearty chuckle. So, but all in all, this movie was pretty darn fantastic. I mean, you can't get much better than this William Friedkin, picture that kind of, I feel like got lost to the sands of time. Maybe not in the United States or where some of you are from, but in Canada here, I had 3 stations. I've never heard of To Live and Die in LA, and I've never heard of FX. Oh, and I'll probably tell you why too. Why To Live and Die in LA probably gets a little bit of a notch above a couple of the other movies is because the soundtrack is absolutely sweet. Wang Chung does the music for the film, and if you don't know Wang Chung, it's everybody have fun tonight, everybody Wang Chung tonight. So there's 80s pop music infused throughout this serious action movie, and it's awesome. Oh yeah, and if it's your thing, you definitely get to see the shadow of William Peterson's Ding Dong in this one too. So if you're into man bits, shadow of them, hey, this is your movie. So finally, number 1, we're getting towards the end of the reviewed movies here. I feel like this is the one that I absolutely treasured in my watch. I watched this so long ago, and I said, does it live up to when I saw it when I was a kid? I thought it was amazing when I was younger. Is it still amazing now? And that movie is, drumroll, My Cousin Vinny. Holy crap. This movie is so good. I mean, it is amazing. Joe Pesci, Marissa Tomei. It's kind of like a fish out of water comedy. It's awesome. Essentially, the premise of the film is Ralph Macchio and his friend are going to college, and they stop by a convenience store, which, unbeknownst to them, later on, the shop clerk gets killed. But one of them inadvertently, Ralph Macchio inadvertently shoplifts an item, so he believes that all of these Alabama cops are throwing him in prison over a shoplifted item, and really they're throwing him in prison because they think he has just murdered the shop clerk. So he's stuck in the Alabama prison, and he is forced to use the legal expertise of his cousin Vinny, played by Joe Pesci, who has almost zero legal experience, and then he comes along with his girlfriend, fiance, played by Marissa Tomei, and the both of them have just an absolute great interaction. So I'll set up one of the scenes here. The scene I'm going to show you is Joe Pesci's character, Vinny. He wants to schmooze over the prosecutor in order to get a leg up. Maybe extract some information out of him. He wants to schmooze the prosecutor because the prosecutor asks him to go on a hunting trip during his time there. So he's like, okay, I gotta schmooze this guy. I gotta go hunting with him. So this is kind of the backlash between him and Marissa Tomei when he decides to go on that hunting trip. Enjoy.
Hey, Lisa, I'm not gonna go out there just to wimp out, you know? I mean, the guy will lose respect for me. Would you rather have that? What about these pants I got on? You think they're okay? Oh!
Imagine you're a deer. You're prancing along, you get thirsty, you spot a little brook, you put your little deer lips down to the cool, clear water. Bam! A fucking bullet rips off part of your head. Your brains are laying on the ground in little bloody pieces. Now I ask you, would you give a fuck what kind of pants the son of a bitch who shot you was wearing?
So I that's probably the best scene right there. I love that little scene, but there's so many others throughout the film that, have me just in stitches. It's just that good. I mean, if you watch any reviews, a lot of people say that the courtroom procedures and how it's set up are and how they go through the trial are pretty true to life, with the exception of Vinny's hijinks. But I mean, it's a pretty solid film, and when I looked at it more, hell, I think this new director, he was a new director at the time. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he was previously like a lawyer or a law clerk or something to that effect. So he pretty much had the expertise to make this pretty bang on in terms of realism. But other than that, great little fish out of water story, great comedy. I mean, if you have not watched My Cousin Vinny, this is one that you throw on tonight. It is fantastic. I do double thumbs up for me. It's just so good. So there you have it. Hopefully you like this format. I know it was fairly new. I spent the last week working on getting everything together, and yeah, there you have it. I kind of, get the set together, wear the Hawaiian shirt, because here in Canada, this, summer's almost over, and my opportunities to wear this bad boy are pretty much over. So I was like, okay, I gotta wear the Hawaiian shirt, because I'm not gonna be able to wear it much longer. And then let's bust out the new graphics and put some scenes together and talk about movies that I watched in the past month. So my intention is, moving forward, is to, similar to this, go through the list of movies that I've seen in the week. So you're not going to get 10. 10 was a lot. I mean, we're at 1 hour pretty much for this our live event right now. So we probably won't get 10, but you know what? We might get around, I want to say around 5. I'm an avid movie watcher. I usually watch about one a night, maybe 1 or 2. So I think 5 is probably going to be the median. It's going to be the average. So be on the lookout for more of these movie reviews with Treso in the future. Hopefully you like them. I'll stick around a little after the show, and I'll ask the audience what they think, and if they have any errors and omissions with regards to any of the movies that I talked about today, and as well as recommendations. I'm up for watching movies, so if you guys got a good one, let me know. Come on out, watch it live, and I want to know what you think. I want to know what you want to see, and yeah, we can watch some movies together, and yeah, share some good times and some sunshine. So I think that's it. That's it for the show. I'll be returning shortly, and we'll ask the audience what they think. So thanks for watching, and see you next time.